And then you go on to say the key mandate was to stop. So it's not quite clear. Are you referencing the Morani Commission report or the Interministerial Task Force that was established? The key mandate, you say, was to stop / investigate / resolve unresolved murders of politicians in the country, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. Then you say, my observation in this regard, as indicated above, is that further existence of this team is no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. Now, if we pause there, if those are two reasons, it's no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. That's not one of the reasons that you've given, that you spend quite a bit of time elaborating and expanding on. But these are the only two reasons that you give in this letter. It's no longer required because it's no longer, and it's also not adding any value to policing in South Africa. And then you say, I therefore direct that the political killing task team be disestablished immediately. Further, that a preliminary report in this regard be submitted to the Minister by the 20th of January. The final and closing report, not as you testified, Minister. It's not a provisional report. It's not a preliminary report. You say the final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. Now, I put it to you with respect, Minister, that if one reads this letter, it's very clear. You say, disestablish, discontinue this task team immediately, do it now. And the final report I'm expecting from you at the end of January. But I want a preliminary report on the 20th of January and the final report at this MANECO Management Executive Committee meeting late January. The instructions are clear. It's not only clear, but it also seems to me, upon reflection, totally unreasonable that you give the National Commissioner, who's on leave, you said you knew he was on leave until the 14th of January, that you must give you a preliminary report by the 20th and a final report by the end of January. Your comments.
Thank you, Evidence Leader. Now, I have explained, as I will do again, the word immediately. Now, it didn't mean, Senior Counsel, that, for instance, anybody driving the car must then stop and leave the car and go home because the political killings task team has now been closed. It didn't mean that. It didn't mean that if you're pursuing any case, because closing a case is something else, and as you see, it's not there. It didn't mean that. It didn't mean that. Stop the car where you are. Drop the key, go home, because...
But Minister, why didn't you write? You said your decision, your directive, we'll still discuss it, although, I'm not here to discuss the law or draw legal conclusions.
Yes.
But clearly what you've read and what we've also received when we asked, we sent an information note to your legal team. We've been given the reasons that you think it's lawful and it's constitutional. So I don't want to debate that. But you say you held the honest belief that is in the best interest of the South African Police Service, that this team be disestablished. You also said what you meant in this directive is not that, like a car, you must stop it immediately and get out of the car and leave it in the middle of the road. This is dangerous to do that. At least pull it at least pull it off the road and put on your hazards or something and show, there's some car in the road, and to avoid the car. Now, why did you not write this letter in that kind of language when you knew that the National Commission is on leave until the 14th? And say to him, for example, even though it's New Year's Eve, there are 3 matters that I would love to discuss with you urgently or very urgently upon your return. And these are the 3 matters. Or could you give me a report on these 3 matters or 1 matter by 20 January and by the end of January? But that's not the tone of the letter. I put it to you, Minister, that this letter and the tone of the letter, the language used in the letter, is in direct contrast to what you are telling us today, that you held this honest belief that this team must be closed and it must be disestablished, and that you had the power to do so. That doesn't come out of the letter when one reads the plain language of the letter and the record that we've heard in this inquiry, and which you, I think, fairly have acknowledged, that the STARS team, when they were in operation, they did a good job. They did what they were required to do.
So can I respond?
Yeah, yeah.
Senior Counsel, you are respectfully talking about various matters. Let me address the one that you addressed later, of the tone. There's a different matter of the tone. I share your feeling that the tone was strong.
The tone was strong.
The tone was strong.
Or wrong?
Pardon?
You share my view that the tone was strong or wrong?
It does seem what you're expressing to me is your personal concern that the tone was rather strong. I have no problem with that. I agree that it may have been a strong tone, to a point where what you are suggesting that it could have said this and this same thing, but on a softer tone. It could have happened. I have no problem with that, Senior Counsel.
In fact, may I add on to that?
But
I think
may I respond?
Yes, but
so that I don't forget.
Given a full opportunity, let me just add this. I think the tone is actually quite disturbing, especially when you talk about filling posts in the intelligence division, especially now that we know the issues, let's just call them neutrally issues, with intelligence, and it's at the heart of this whole inquiry. And you say the filling of posts must be halted immediately, even vacant posts must be halted immediately. And I think you mentioned in your evidence that you, into the new year, that's why you wrote it on the 31st.
Yes,
into the new year, you wanted to give us, the public, some kind of confidence that these issues are being addressed.
The way the Senior Counsel is putting it, in terms, it's like there was a panel with people lined up for interviews, and then I say, stop. It wasn't like that, Senior Counsel. There was no lineup of people to be interviewed at night on the 31st. So it wasn't a question of saying, stop. It didn't say, on the date while you are driving on the car, stop the car and get out. What I'm saying, I share with you, which happens ordinarily in any conversation, anytime, in ordinary life, that you talk to somebody and then you see, somebody would say to you, hey, you were rather strong-toned. That happens in everyday life experience. It's an everyday life experience. I know you were soft and nice. It's part of life. Now here, I admit that the tone was strong. But I also similarly want to agree that, want to indicate to you that on the 21st of November, I had convened a meeting, National Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioners and Provincial Commissioners, and said, the murder rate in the country is concerning. So you call a meeting, you express that to your Minister of Police. You say the escalation of drug distribution and the destruction that comes with that. I'm very concerned to a point where I don't sleep well. You go on to say there are too many firearms killing too many people, especially illegal firearms. You are deeply concerned and you are addressing this issue live. Now, on the 31st, you write a letter. You are stuck, completely focused on these matters that you believe strongly and honestly, that are a concern to people out there. Even on the 31st, people are worried about issues on border management, even on the 31st. Not all of us who have met and go and bribe on the 31st.
I'm not even sure that people want to be worried on the 31st of December with anything.
Yes, I'm now addressing, because in sharing your concern, I also want the House to be alive on what concerns people outside. I may have been concerned about National Commissioner being on leave. I may have been concerned about the tone. But in this instance, it doesn't mean that the tone was unlawful. It doesn't mean that the act itself was unlawful. I wrote these directives. I accept that I may have chosen a softer tone on this, but it was no insult to anyone. I knew National Commissioner is on leave, send the letter to acting National Commissioner.
When did you entertain or begin to entertain these thoughts that you need to address these issues, and that
it was
to me like this is in the public interest that these issues must be addressed? When did you start entertaining these thoughts? When did you start scribbling down? Because you say you drafted this letter yourself.
It's a cumulative issue that I'd been aware long before I became Minister of Police, that there is a grievance out there, outside ourselves as Cabinet, outside ourselves as MPs, about how porous our borders are. I even called a meeting for that. I even called the CEO of AXA to come and brief us about what's happening at OR Airport in terms of security, tight security at the airports. I may as well jump a little bit and say 2 weeks before General Mkhwanazi went to a press briefing, I had called a meeting of the National Commissioner and Crime Intelligence to come and make a presentation to me about drugs in South Africa, about firearms in South Africa. I've got documents here. And that meeting, that presentation was done to me. It took more than 2 hours.
But you never discussed the political killings task team in that meeting.
But
You never discussed the political killings task team in that meeting.
in that meeting, no,
despite
we
the fact
discussed
that-
drugs
Yeah.
and firearms, which are killing people outside. So I had said in November, I am deeply worried about these two matters. Now, it's now 31st. And I then write the letter about issues that I believed were deeply concerning, not just to me. Now, I couldn't, in my choice, be worried more about that it was the 31st than the impact of these matters that I was talking about to our work. I couldn't.
I mean, you received
Senior Counsel,
sorry,
may we take the hand of Honorable Malam?
Not, thanks, Chair. I'm not hearing, and I want to understand about this immediately. Is the immediately in the draft that you send to the Chief of Staff, who sent it to your advisor? If you're to give us the draft, not the final version of the letter, will we find a word which will now accept that it was strong? Will we find immediate in the draft letter?
Yes, immediately was written by me. Both in the draft that was checked by Advocate Piccoli and in the final draft. But as I've explained, in the context where you say, I need a preliminary report by a date after the 20th or something like that of January. So common sense tells you that the person who was writing this immediate was envisaging that the immediate doesn't mean stonewalling just there. You are driving the car, I've taken a decision. You are under arrest, get out. Because this car belongs to the task team. A decision has been taken. No, it merely was, the decision has been taken immediately, but preliminary report in some future. But then the meeting of UNESCO in another future. Now, if you are in the executive and you are worried, you have to show your true colors and show seriousness on what you are conveying. I'm not saying be harsh. I'm not saying have a strong tone. But the issues that I had identified were of serious worry to me, even on the 31st. And I want to believe that I wasn't alone. I was with other people in South Africa. I was expressing their views. And I believe that it was lawful. And there was nothing wrong with it. But if you say the tone was strong, yes, the tone may have been strong.
sorry, Honorable Chair.
But not as if there was something illegal about it, not as if there was something unlawful about it.
Okay.
Ukuzwelana nje ukuthi yayingabekeka ngeindlela incwadi. Singazwelana lapho sikhalisana. Ngiyavuma ukuthi hayi ngayibeka yathi ba strong. Kodwa hayi ukuthi
Extra strong.
not that it was unlawful, not that it was
No
unconstitutional.
one's saying it's unlawful or,
Yes.
you know, whether you use strong language or light language, it's either lawful or unlawful. So,
Yes. Thank you.
And I,
Honorable
Chair,
Chair, is
how
has
much-
Honorable Malema been
Yeah.
responded to?
I got a signal that he's satisfied. I want to check with you, how much more time do you still need?
Well,
I can allocate you 4 hours more.
I think we had earlier agreed, Honorable Chair, that we will stop at 6.
Okay.
and resume tomorrow morning.
So you want to stop?
If we could adjourn and resume, I think the minister.
Do you really want to stop now?
Honorable Chair.
Do you really want to stop now?
I've got a number of questions. But I think since we set aside tomorrow, let's.
When I ask you this question and look at the honorable members. So, Senior Counsel, I think if you feel that you want us to stop, we have to stop. Unless if honorable members have a different view. Let me take Honorable Malema, Honorable Skosana, Honorable Nomval.
No, thanks, Chair. I was saying to the evidence leader that if he wants to go on, he must go on. Because tomorrow, in as much as we want to allocate him more time to ask questions, remember what you said, that we've got different commitments, some of us, and we may want, if he agrees that perhaps tomorrow we'll finish at a reasonable time so that we can get sufficient time to attend to other political matters. Because during the week, we allocate this time for this, and then during weekend, we serve our constituencies. So the other one must not suffer because of the other one. Thanks.
Honorable Nombalo.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No, Chair, in fact, I want to persuade the evidence leader, but obviously, depending on the strength of the witness, that we proceed so that tomorrow we finish early. Because many members, we don't want to experience what we experienced last week. I think only 4 of us were left here, 4 or 5. So we don't want to experience that. So if we can continue, even if we continue until 10 o'clock, for as long as he covers the large part of his examination, then we come and leave what is out, and finish what will be outstanding tomorrow, Chair. It's my persuasion to him, but obviously we must consider the feelings of the witness.
Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted a clarity from the minister, because earlier I don't understand when you said the National Co-Commissioner.
The question is not what we are dealing with now.
Oh, you are talking about time?
Yes.
10 o'clock is fine, Chair.
Okay, we will come to that later. Honorable Sangwes.
Chairperson, let's not act like disorganized people. This matter was canvassed in terms of time. It was agreed that today and tomorrow the evidence leader would lead testimony of Minister Mahon. There was an agreement that the stop time today would be 6 o'clock, and then tomorrow it would be 2 o'clock, which I believe provides sufficient time from the evidence leader to be able to raise any other questions that he wants to raise. Now, if we have not managed to organize ourselves and our programs, it can't be a problem of the ad hoc committee as a whole. And I think that those decisions that we had made in terms of how we're going to manage these proceedings, we should retain, Chairperson, please. Thank you.
Tomorrow, if we start at 7. No, listen, honorable members, I'm telling you what is happening tomorrow. Okay. If we start at 11 tomorrow, we are finishing at 3. If we start at 10, we finish at 2. If we start at 9, we finish at 1. If we start at 8, we finish at 12. If we start at 7, we finish at 11. So I want us to start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And then we will be done by 2 o'clock. So I think the senior counsel, in the manner that he has arranged his work today, was to be done at this time at 6 o'clock. So you can see the documents are voluminous, and we may need to give them time to rest, including I can see the minister is still raring to go, but we will have to end it here. Honorable Skosana, did you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted a clarity from the minister because I could not really comprehend what he was saying when he said the National Commissioner, when they were talking about Molefe, that he was briefed by the Commissioner regarding Brian Molefe, which I think is wrong, including when he said it's a relative of Brian Molefe who was arrested, because Brian is not related to that Molefe we are talking about. This reflective of the quality. You know,
Yeah, no, let's not debate.
No, I'm not debating, Chair. Can you give me a chance, Chair,
Yeah,
please?
let's ask the question.
Yes, I'm not finished with the question. Because these are the issues where misinformation and ineptitude as well, which makes people to be tainted. So I wanted clarity on that. Why the National Commission was saying the guy who's arrested is related to Brian Molefe, because he knows Honorable Molefe, as he said himself. Thank you, Chair.
Point of
Chair,
order.
can you please protect the witness? This is not a clarity-seeking question. Today, we're still on clarity-seeking questions, and I want to advise Honorable Skosan that the gentleman sitting in front of him is Minister Mthun. So if he wants to know why the general said that, he may want to ask General Masemolo. But the point that I'm making is that this is not a clarity-seeking question, Chair. It's a debate. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the question is not. It's not a clarity-seeking question. Unless you have a clarity-seeking question that you want to restate, I give you the opportunity to restate it.
Let me repeat again. I'm not going to change because Honorable Sangoni said so. I'm not going to do that. The minister can answer for himself. He doesn't need any assistance. This issue of closing ranks, we know that he's a minister, and I just wanted to find out because I could not hear him well. Let the minister answer for himself, please.
Honorable Skosan, it's not what Honorable Sangoni is saying. It's what the chairperson is saying. The chairperson is giving you an opportunity to put a question for clarity to the witness. What is the question for clarity?
The clarity is simple. I said to the minister, he must just explain, clarify for us why Brian Molefe, because he's a Molefe, it was that the National Commission, because the National Commission never said so to us, it's the minister who said so. So when someone said I must ask the National Commissioner, it's unfair, Chair.
Why Mr. Brown Molefe? What is the question about Mr. Brown Molefe?
But Chair,
I've been repeating myself.
Let's allow the honorable member to put a question for clarity to the witness.
Chair, Minister, can you please clarify the issue of Brian Molefe? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I assume that it was just an error when the National Commissioner mentioned, and then when the arrest, got into news, it was another. And he had not struggled when I called to say, yeah, but it seems, he says, no, it's correct, that this information is correct. So he may have just made an ordinary error, not because he meant anything.
I'm waiting for you, Chair.
I'm looking at yourselves. Your hands are not going up.
No, Chair.
There is no intention to speak from your mouth.
Let me tell you what.
It's like you are flamor.
Listen to me, Chair. What I'm going to do next time, I'm just going to speak. Because for me, I'm following you. When you give me an opportunity, I will speak.
He has responded. You seem paralyzed. Because
No, I'm not paralyzed.
you're raising a hand.
No, I'm not paralyzed. I'm not easily intimidated by anybody, by the chair himself and the minister himself. Not
No.
intimidated at all.
Honorable Skosana, is your hand up?
No, my hand was not up.
Okay.
You know, I was waiting for you to ask me whether I'm satisfied or
Why
not.
must I allow you to speak if your hand is not up?
No. As I'm saying to you, it's you who's chairing, it's not me.
Okay.
So you must ask me like you ask anyone. Are you satisfied?
Honorable member, are you satisfied with the response?
Yeah, I'm happy because the minister say it's a mistake, it's an error.
Okay.
Thank you.
Honorable Domval. I'm Honorable Shongwe. I'm sorry.
Makatali, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
No, Chair, silungisa. On a serious note, Chair. Uminister ngicabanga ukuthi uphazamisekile ekhuluma. Kwavela ngathi uthi uGeneral umtshela ukuthi kuzoboshwa uBrian Mulife oseParliament. Now when you listen to that video again, akayilungisanga even ecede ends up by saying no, it was not him, it was his brother. So it looks as if that person who's being arrested is not Brian Mulife, but it was the brother. So we wanted clarity on that ukuthi Brian Mulife akangeni indawo lapha akazenza lutho lapha. So usecacisile nje siyabonga kakhulu.
You are saying that it's a matter which must be put on record that the person is not Honorable Brian Mulife.
And akahlobani naye futhi and akusu brother wakhe.
You heard that, Minister.
Yes, very clear.
Can we put it on record?
Yes, I'm saying that we had a conversation with the National Commissioner, and I picked up that he's speaking about Brian Mulife. But when the arrest got into news, it appeared that it was another Mulife, and I phoned to say, I thought you were saying, but I see something else. And then National Commission said, yeah, no, it was an error. So I assumed that was the end of the story.
Ushota the brother part, Minister. Ngena loud and not his brother.
Not whose brother.
You end up when you finish your statement, you said, no, it was not him. It was his brother or relative or something like that.
Yes.
So you want clarity, it was not. Akekho related to that person Oboshiwe.
No, we didn't go that far.
Okay.
You went that far.
Yeah, no, we have come to...
It was not Honorable Brian Mulife. It was another Mulife. Yeah.
Okay, honorable members, may I request that you stop speaking so that the meeting can end. Thank you so much. We have come to the end of today's proceedings. 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Thank you.
Nothing. Sure, I would do honestly.